Today we will discuss about first order optimality condition of linear programming and quadratic program. And what is happening? You may ask that why we are not discussing about second order optimality condition for convex optimization problem. Then in convex function segment, you might have already seen that convex function also can be characterized with the help of first order criteria. That means a function is, if a function is differentiable and convex, then we can say that at any point x function is bounded below by corresponding tangent plane or hyperplane, you can call it hyperplane. And this tangent plane or hyperplane, it is giving a uh, global underestimator of the given function, convex function. So always we can get a function so that we can uh, put a, also we can say that we can always find a separating hyperplane or supporting hyperplane which support the function at every point, on the graph of the function. So at every point we can always get a supporting hyperplane with respect to gradient. If function is differentiable, then with respect to that always we can find a uh, supporting hyperplane. And that means this one is a, you can say that it is a linear approximation of a function in the neighborhood of x. So for every y, and this even it is not, it is a local definition, but it is holding for every y in the domain of function, for every y. That's way, and that's way first order optimality condition also becomes a sufficient condition for optimality condition of convex optimization problem, and that I had already discussed. So second, it is not for simple kind of convex function like uh, x square kind of things, a quite simple quality kind of function. First order optimality condition is enough. That means gradient descent is enough. But when your function is convex and it is having some issue with a structure, that means there is a varying variation in the Hessian, and Hessian is taking variable value. That means that Hessian happens to be function of x, and having sometime a lower curvature or flat kind of situation. Somewhere there is a flat situation, then that time there would be convergent issue of first order optimality, first order methods. So you need to go for second order, that would be very fast when your curvature is flat. So, so when time permit, then I will discuss about second order, but actually first order is generally held for convex optimization problem. And that those two three things you might have already seen in other courses, like if you are taking contour of a convex function, it happens to, one thing you must remember, that if you are taking a convex function, then and further you define a sublevel set, then sublevel set always happens to be a convex set. Now you are having a convex set, then what you will see that you have to see the structure of sublevel set. If sublevel set is having very nice structure, that means isotropic kind of sublevel structure, then you can talk about convergency. But sometimes what is happening, that sublevel set is not nice in a structure, that is anisotropic. In that case, convergency issue would come with respect to first order methods. So only for to overcome those kind of things, we can discuss about second order method. So I will, whenever there would be need, I will discuss that. So again, here I will talk about recap of few special function in last class what we had taken, and then I will, and one remaining problem was there, so I will discuss that, and I will go to linear program and quadratic program in order to establish optimality condition. And if time permit, then we will go to second order. So coming to recap of first order optimality condition for some special convex problems, so we had already seen that if you are having an unconstant problem, and the coefficient matrix, you can call it what is name of this one? This we are calling it quadratic form. So uh, x transpose px, if you try to see from linear algebra, then this one is a scalar number, and if you go more detailed name of this one, it is actually uh, directly we can't say that it is an inner product of two vector. Here we can say that it is talking about inner product or dot product of two vector q and x. But what about this? Actually, this one is quadratic form, and this form we are calling it it is a bilinear form. And how we define this bilinear form or quadratic form? We define it x transpose px, it would be equal to we can say that x dot product of x and px. So this bilinear form also you can define with respect to inner product as well. So this representation here, it is linear with respect to both variable. So that's why we call this one is a bilinear representation. And regarding again positive definiteness, so you have to so what the inner product, what is the property of inner product? Inner product always satisfy property of positive definiteness. That means it is if you are taking any two vector, then defining inner product, then definitely this would be always greater than equal to 0, and inner product would be 0 only in case when uh, x is 0 itself. So inner product is 0 in only case when the vector happens to be 0. So it is a positive definite. Inner product happens to be positive definite, but when we are defining a this situation bilinear form, it may be positive semi-definite. So this satisfy positive semi-definite criteria. Why it is coming? Due to this positive semi-definite matrix. And you know that due to this property, this function f naught is a convex function, and we had already seen the necessary and sufficient condition for being x an optimal point. What was the necessary condition? That we had find gradient of this function. It was what? Nothing. It was simple linear equation px plus q equal to 0. So finding the optimal point of this quadratic unconstant problem, it was equivalent to solve this system of linear equation. And from linear algebra we had already encountered when q is not in the column space of P, then we say that the system is not having any solution. It means there is no feasible solution. It means what does, if there is no feasible solution, then we simply say that function is unbounded below. And if suppose our the coefficient matrix P happens to be positive definite, in that case we are saying that this matrix, if P is positive definite, then it would be an invertible matrix. So we can get a unique optimal solution that we call x star, we are calling it minus P uh, P inverse Q. So we are getting a unique solution when your coefficient matrix happens to be positive definite. Now there was one more case when your coefficient matrix is positive definite and singular. That means rank of the matrix is less than n. So in that case, we observe infinitely many solutions. So that means X opt is containing infinitely many solutions. That means it is a solution of space. And this solution of space, if you try to geometrically visualize, so it is not a linear space, it is a affine space. Affine, again, I had already mentioned during that defining of optimal points, I had mentioned that set of all optimal points happen to be a closed convex set. So you can observe that why this one is a closed convex set, because NP, it is talking about null space of P, and null space of P is always a convex set because of being a hyperplane. And if you are just shifting that null space, you do shifting of origin by this particular solution, then it is a affine space. Affine space again happens to be a convex set, affine convex set. So that's way solution collection of all optimal point. If you are getting infinitely, if you are getting more than one optimal point, then that would be definitely a convex set. Remember that your objective function is convex. Only that if your objective function is convex, then this one would be not true. Another things I had discussed that we are minimizing a convex function subject to this linear inequality or affine inequality. So better name is affine inequality because here B is non-zero. In general, we have taken. So what was the optimality condition? So just we start with whatever we had already studied. General optimality condition. It says that a dot product of gradient with any neighboring direction at x. That means y minus x is greater than or equal to 0. And we just simplified and we come across in that case that gradient at optimal point happens to be in the uh, orthogonal complement of null space. That means gradient happens to be in the column space of A transpose. That means gradient happens to be in the this what we call it is a row space of matrix A. It is in the row space of matrix A. So when gradient is a linear combination of rows of a matrix A, then we can say that that one is actually coming with respect to optimality condition. Row space of, say at optimal point, you can say that gradient happens to be in row space of A. Any question? Anyone willing to ask any question? Then you are welcome. Okay, there was a little bit network issue, so again I joined it. So are you able to listen me? Okay. In between, I think you might have some. So actually, suddenly it got disconnected. Oh, okay. Okay, then I'm starting forward. So slide is visible or not? Anyone visible? Okay, fine. So I was here. I was recalling the previous thing. It was just a part of recap. So we had discussed enough that optimal being x in optimal point is equivalent to say that your gradient at that point happens to be not visible. Yeah, there is issue present now. Now, is it visible? Is it visible or okay? The network. Okay. There is definitely there might be certain issue with network. Sometimes it helping a lot. Sometimes suddenly some issue is coming. Okay, fine. I am going forward. So I had told that x is an optimal point. It means that the gradient at that point happens to be in row space of A. Then simply you can say that gradient happens to be what it is linear combination of rows of A being. So it is all about linear algebra. It becomes a linear algebra if you are having equality condition and you are having a convex function. Then with the help of linear algebra, with the help of fundamental theorem of uh, linear algebra, you can easily calculate those things. Okay, I'm going forward to discuss. This one is more important problem. We are talking about minimization of a function over a non-negative orthant. What is non-negative orthant? It is talking about if you are suppose you are in 2D, then your non-negative orthant is that in linear programming you might have already seen one condition that when you are having a linear program C transpose X and it's subject to we minimize C transpose X, or simply when you consider number of quantities of something, the number of quantity can't be negative. Number of quantity must be greater than equal to 0, like number of some product, number of eatable things, and different kind of things. In that case, when you do optimization over that those kind of variable with respect to those variable, then what is happening, you have to put a non-negative condition. That means you are talking about non-negative orthant. So linear programming, you might have already seen that we minimize C transpose X, that means a linear function subject to, this one is a standard linear programming, subject to C transpose X, AX equal to B, and we put non-negative component wise non-negative. That means component wise, this one is talking about component wise non-negative. So here non-negative are this quantity is needed, while solving system linear program. So this is nothing. This one is saying that if you generalize for n-dimensional gradient of space, this condition we are calling it non-negative orthant. So if you are in R2, what is meaning of non-negative orthant? Then R2 plus, it is talking about first quadrant. R2 plus, that means every coordinate is positive. So only here we can observe that both coordinate happens to be positive. This one is your two-dimensional non-negative orthant. If you are in 3D, then again you will get only one orthant, non-negative orthant, like in 3D. So this one is x plane, this one is x1, this one is x2. All these are talking about positive. Uh, these are whatever given, these are positive part. So this octant we will call non-negative octant, and behind a portion we will call it uh, those who may contain some negative coordinate as well. So that means it says that a non-negative octant, it is in general. I have already given definition here. You can see that. So consider an optimization problem. We are minimizing a convex function f of f naught of x subject over where x is component wise greater than equal to 0. So this one is talking about non-negative orthant. So in set theoretic way, we can give a notation of non-negative orthant like R plus N, Rn plus. It is talking about. That means it is taking only non-negative coordinate. There is no negative coordinate here. So those collection of all non-negative coordinate, we call it non-negative orthant. So we will try to minimize convex function over this. So what would be optimality condition? So optimality condition, it just becomes again dot product of the gradient at point x with any neighboring direction y minus x at x must be greater than equal to 0 for every uh, element from non-negative orthant. So here what we observe, so here there is an involvement of linear function. So here x is already fixed. Here we are talking about optimality condition with respect to x. So here what is variable? X, y is variable. So we try to look direction uh, in the neighborhood of y in such a way dot product of that those direction with respect to gradient is always greater than equal to 0. So here uh, gradient of f transpose y, it is a linear function, and we will try to see it is a linear function. So generally when it will be bounded and when it will be unbounded. So it is unbounded below on it will be unbounded below on non-negative orthant. When it will be unbounded below when uh, this condition is not satisfying. When it says that unless it would be unbounded below on non-negative orthant unless we are having a non-negative uh, component gradient is non-negative component wise. So condition then, so if you, it says that if you are taking your if you violate this condition, what will happen? We know that x is coming from non-negative orthant, and uh, this this one is greater than equal to 0, then uh, so we must have only one criteria. So we try to observe that dot product of gradient with x, it would be equal to 0. So these two in together leads to what? It leads to dot product of gradient at x with x equal to 0. So what condition is this? We are calling it a complementary slackness condition. So we are just looking on the boundary. So it is defining boundary. It is directly coming. This equation is satisfied at the boundary that you can see that it is a optimal point always exists in the boundary situation. So, what are so the optimality condition? We can reduce this optimality condition that this one is directly coming from feasibility condition that our feasible set is non-negative ortho. Then second condition is coming that gradient must be greater than equal to 0 y in order to make this function bounded. If our function is bounded, then this function linear function is bounded, then we can talk about minimum value. Otherwise you function this function is not, it is a linear, simply it is a linear function, and linear function you can observe that it happens like a line, it happens to be a unbounded set throughout domain. If you are taking throughout x is coming from R2, then simply it would be unbounded uh, function. But when it would be bounded, if you are taking y from a put some kind of constraint over it. So just do simply simplify this one. So if you are simplifying this like this way, so it would be simplified at gradient of f naught at x and its dot product with y greater than equal to gradient of f naught at x dot product gradient of f naught at x with x. So it says that this function is bounded below when it is true, when this quantity is positive. This quantity is positive. We know that x is already positive, that it is coming from non-negative infinite ortho. So when it will be true, when it this quantity is positive. So this one is positive, this one is positive. If you are taking in together, then we are getting one more condition. That this condition is coming, it is saying that it is coming with respect to slackness condition. When I will discuss about complement KKT condition, that time I will discuss in detail how to get a complementary slackness condition. Right now just I am introducing the problem. So I will talk about further first order opportunity condition for linear program and quadratic program. So I would like to introduce linear program first. There would be various form of linear program. So in linear program, what is happening, or another name you can call it linear optimization. So here everything is linear, that means your objective function would be linear, your constant would be linear, everything would be linear. So we consider a general linear form. It says that we minimizing a linear function C transpose X. Some book may take like C transpose X plus D, and D is a what, a scalar number, that one is a not involving any X. So if you are going to minimize, then you always minimize with respect to variable, and this term is independent of variable. So while the process of minimizing, this one is not creating any trouble. So what you do, you minimize with this term, and later whatever minimum value of this you will get under this feasible condition, under this feasible condition, you add this d, that would be minimum value of overall function. So this constant term intensely I have removed. There is, because in the minimizing process, constant term is not creating uh, any issue or any it is not it is inactive in the process of minimization. That's why inactive portion we are not taking it. So if you try to observe geometrically what the optimality condition of this one, it says that you know that in convex set you had already seen that what does it define? It defines a polyhedral, and what does this define? It again define a It is a subspace, you can call it one kind of subspace it is defining. So or it is so in that process in total, if you see together, you are getting a polyhedral, this polyhedral P, and the dotted line it represent contour line of this one, this linear function on the domain plane. So for different value of C transpose X, we have defined different contour. Like you can say that the function is Z equal to uh, C transpose X. So once you take Z equal to 0, Z equal to 0, then what function you will get? You will get C transpose X equal to 0. Uh, then you will get one contour, that one is passing through origin. But remember that every contour is having what is the direction of this contour? So how can you get direction, or how can you get normal of the contour? By uh, taking gradient of the function. The gradient, this one is a linear function. What is the gradient of this linear function? It is simply C, the coefficient of X. So C is talking about direction of gradient, and so these are the contour line. These are the contour line. So here optimality condition. How can you observe that? One more thing, during optimality condition I had already told that what is the meaning of optimality point? Optimality point means that if you are getting a descent direction, which with respect to that we are getting a supporting hyperplane which support the feasible set at a point. So here we can observe that this minus C is a descent direction of this objective function over this feasible set T, polyhedral feasible set T, and here we observe that if you keep on proceeding in the negative direction of C, then function value will keep on decreasing, and it will you have to proceed in such a way you should not leave the feasible set. So you can go up to at this point at the, and so this point is actually your optimal point. Here from the graph you can observe that, and it is a linear program. Everything here is linear. You can also come to notice that one point that your optimal point always it will exist at corner point or vertices. So it is this point is a vertex. If you suppose C is different direction, then like this way, if you're taking like this way, if you change C, then if you proceed in negative direction of C, then another candidate may be this one in that direction, if you're changing C. But here right now don't take this case, because here it is already given that C is taking this direction. So this is the visualization of optimality condition, and just it defines a supporting hyperplane at this point, and the solution occurs at corner point of the polyhedron in this direction along the direction of negative C, because we need to proceed in descent direction uh, till that uh, till that we are not leaving feasible state. So here at till here we are not feasible state. We can't proceed further, because if we proceed further, definitely we will get infeasible points. So we can't go further. So this is the geometrical view of feasible point, and the feasible here feasible set is a polyhedron, and this problem is what I had mentioned, that minimizing affine function C transpose X plus D, it is equivalent to minimizing linear function C transpose X, because D is not playing any important role while the process of optimality process in the optimality process. So you can leave it, you can put it in bucket, and later once you will find the minimum value of this C transpose X over the feasible set, and after add this D uh, after getting with the minimum value of this one P star, call it P star is minimum value of C transpose X, and finally add D, then that would be your overall minimum value of the affine function. So there is no issue. So while in the process of optimization, it is not very effective or inactive, you can say that it is inactive. So now there are two another form of linear program. One form we are calling a standard form. So when you are just having only equality constant, or affine constraint, then that linear program we are calling it in a standard form. And if your linear program in a standard form, then easily you can apply simplex method. Method is a very powerful algorithmic technique. Through that you can solve any linear programming problem. So that's way, whenever you go to apply simplex method, I won't discuss simplex method detail here in this course, because this course is intended for different purpose. So I am not going to discuss in detail about simplex method. Okay, so here in simplex method, you always deal with equality constant. Even if your problem is not involving inequality constant, you need to introduce some kind of slack variable or surplus variable in order to convert the inequality constant into equality constant. Now, another form of linear program, that is it when a linear program is only involving a inequality constants. So that program we are calling it inequality form of linear program. So this is the form. Here we are having only inequality constants. So this problem is very easy to solve it, because we know that this one will give a polyhedral as a feasible set, and or that means your feasible set X is a polyhedral set. And in polyhedral, what is polyhedral? Polyhedral always having a linear boundary, piecewise linear boundary. So easily we can design that. We can say that that for every polyhedral having bounded polyhedrally having finite number of vertices. So those finite number, one of the vertices may be candidate of being a optimal value. So easily we can identify or even visualize. So, so here what we do, if we are having a linear program with this kind of things, so we can here introduce a slack variable to convert this inequality program into this standard form. How? So by so this one directly coming from general form. So in general form we had g of inequality constant g of x less than equal to h. This less than is component wise defined. So we are adding, that means this quantity, left hand side quantity is definitely it is smaller than right hand side quantity. That means if it is smaller than, then if you add some positive things, it demands to add some positive thing in order to make this quantity equal to h, right hand side quantity. That's why we are adding this positive quantity s. This s we are calling it slack variable. If your inequality is reverse, that means you are having this kind of inequality, that time you have to subtract some few things from left hand side in order to equate to right hand side. So in that case, when you are doing subtraction, then that value we are calling it surplus variable. That variable we will call it surplus variable. So there are two kind of variable you can convert a general linear program into a standard form in order to apply simplex method. But I'm not going to discuss that simplex method in detail. So one just few idea I will talk about. It is nothing just all about linear algebra. So if you are having a linear program in a standard form, that means you are having just equality constant, and this constant is directly coming from non-negativeness over the uh, variable only. So sometime it might be hidden, because I told that number of variable can't be number of quantity. If you are having several quantity, number of quantity can't be negative. So that's why if you, such kind of things are coming, then you have to put these are additional constant. Generally these are coming just for the sake that the decision variable involved must be non-negative. So here you are having a linear programming standard form. Then how can you solve this one using simplex method? So simplex method is taking an idea that if you are having a vector x and you are having a system of equations, it is what? It is just system of equation. So with respect to this system of equation, we are having a coefficient matrix. So we can always define four fundamental subspaces. One is column space of A, another one is null space of A, and another one is row space of A. And there is a relation that null space of A happens to be perpendicular to column space of A transpose. That means null space of column space of A transpose. That means row space of A. and column space of A happens to be perpendicular to null space of A transpose. So this one is the second law, fundamental law of linear algebra rule. So what we observe that we will apply these benefit here. So what we, if you're taking any vector from the domain of any, if you take any feasible x which is satisfying this infinity, then you can always decompose that x into two parts. One part we are calling it x parallel. X parallel, that means it is saying that it is a projection of x in the row space of A transpose, because x you are taking from domain or which is satisfying this system of linear equation. So it is projection of x in the row space of A transpose, and it will belongs to uh, so you can say that it is in the row space of A transpose. That means this x, projection of x, it is a linear combination of rows of A, and x transpose where it would be. So x perp, this one is x perp or perpendicular. I have written in reverse. It is x uh, perpendicular. So it is coming in null space of A. In null space of A. So what is happening? So you have already decomposed x into two parts. So this portion you can call it. It is coming in null space of the matrix A. So you can denote it by xn, x captain n. That means also another name of this one you can call it non-basic, because of vanishing quantity. And this one you can call it, it is a basic, it is because it is not vanishing, it is staying there. So basic part. So in that process you can convert the standard linear form in this form. So you did a decomposition. So this one is coming with respect to basic part of the decision variable. XB is a basic, all these coordinate which are treated as a basic variable, and xn is all those variable which are treated as a non-basic variable. And subject to here further we also do decomposition in this constant as well. So it is separated into two equation. One equation is this one, another equation is this one. This one is with respect to non-basic part. That means that one is not important, and this one is with respect to basis part. That means important part. So all these are part of simplex method. I won't go in detail. If you are interested, you can look into that. So here one example I have already discussed about linear programming. That is that this problem you can pose it as a linear program. So what you do, this one is a very famous diet problem. Suppose a healthy a healthy diet, it contains m different nutrients in quantity at least equal to b1, at least equal to b1 up to bn. So m number of quantities are there, and these are providing bounds. So we can compose such a diet by choosing non-negative quantities x1 up to xn of different foods. So one unit quantity of food j contains how much in amount of a aij amount of nutrient I, and it will cost how much? It will cost cj is the cost. So we want to determine the cheapest diet that satisfy the nutrition requirement. So if you try to pose it, then this can be posed as a linear program. That means we try to minimize cost subject to these constraints. So it is a famous diet problem. So in next we'll discuss about opportunity condition for quadratic program. What is that? So quadratic program, here your objective function you are taking it a quadratic function. It is a quadratic function where the coefficient matrix P is a positive semi-definite matrix. Again, I told that why we are taking positive semi-definite matrix, in order to uh, make this objective function a convex function. And here we constant whatever here we are taking, these are linear constant. So definitely it will, what it will give, it will give a polyhedral. So our visible set a polyhedral. So again, this problem is very much equivalent to solving system of linear equation. That means solution will occur at a boundary point like this way. But one difference is that here contour is what? Contour is coming as a curve. If you do contour plot, it is coming like a curve because of quadratic objective functions. So these are the contour, you can observe that. So what is the negative direction of contour? So here it is a quadratic function. So negative direction, how you will get? By differentiating the function with respect to x. So what is the derivative of this function? Derivative of this function would be uh, p times x plus q. This is the derivative function. So if you proceed in descent direction, and this is the best, there would be many descent direction, but this one is the differentiable functions. So one descent direction is always given by negative of gradient. So we are getting we are proceeding in the descent direction up to which point? Up to this point. So one remember here you can observe that solution is, where is solution? Solution occurs at boundary point. Why? Due to this it is again you observe a linear boundary because your feasible set happens to be polyhedral and solution is coming as a at a boundary point. Here you can observe that gradient is non-zero. Here gradient is, it would be non-zero. So this